What's going on, Chooms? JonJonTheWise here, and I got another Cyberpunk video for you guys. Now it's part 2. We're going to go through the campaign logs again, and we're going to see how it actually went down compared to what I wrote in my notes, what stuff I had to take out, what stuff I put back in, and everything in between. But before we start this video, make sure you guys join that Discord community. The link is in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, Tabletop Cyberpunk, and of course, if you want to support this channel, you can go to patreon.com/JonJonTheWise, and you can support me directly through there, and I appreciate all of the love and support. Now, if you want some Cyberpunk Red minis, you got to get the official thing from Monster Fight Club. If you go to Monster Fight Club with the link that I have provided in my description, I get a portion of the sales myself. They have all kinds of cool stuff like Combat Zone. They have official minis for Cyberpunk Red for your own games, and they have all kinds of other cool terrain pieces that are fully painted and modular. The trees are amazing. This is for any of your fantasy games, Warhammer games, you name it. You can get all that stuff from their website using my link that is in the description. Thank you all for the support. Now, at this point in the campaign, I already got past the beginning intro sequence. I gave the players something to do. They did the thing. They accomplished it. And now I can gauge exactly how they play. For example, I noticed that one of my players is a little bit reserved, likes to be in the back, and doesn't necessarily always have to be in the limelight. On the other hand, I had another player who was a little bit too much in the spotlight, maybe hogging the microphone a little bit too much, you know, because we were playing online. So if that one person is talking too much or is taking over too much, it can be irritating to the other players. And there isn't really a great way to address that other than just addressing it head on in the most respectful manner that you can. And I did exactly that. I addressed it with the player. I let them know there's no hard feelings, and I just wanted them to be aware of something that was going on. And since then, everything went perfectly well. So I'm glad that I actually did that. After that, we had no problems with that whatsoever. So I wanted to give my players a downtime opportunity to kind of gauge the world and see how everything is going. So I had a festival playing at the Fountain of Youth, which is basically my idea of the players getting together in one small area in the camp and having some kind of party. My idea is that these nomads probably get together and have these kind of festivals all the time. Since the cities are far away from them, they got to make the fun themselves. And it's basically inspired from any time that I've ever been out to the rancho in Mexico and visited family there. Basically, everybody there does exactly that. Once a month, once every 2 weeks, somebody throws a party on their farm and everybody comes. So I figured, why wouldn't these nomads do the same thing? In my notes here, I wrote they're a traveling hologram show from Russia, and none of that happened. I don't think that I ever introduced that. That was never a thing. It was just an idea that I wrote down, and it just didn't happen that way. So it didn't happen that way. I think actually instead, I had one rocker boy in the group, and I decided that he put on a concert for all the people that were there at the Nomad camp, and it gave him more reputation with the people in the camp. Because the rocker boy in the game is a pretty esoteric thing, and there's a lot of GM discretion whether the role ability and the mechanics for a rocker boy can actually be used. I like to lean into the narrative aspect of those kinds of roles a lot more than maybe a solo or a med tech would, because we all know what those roles can do. We know what a med tech can do. We know what a solo can do. A rocker boy, there's a lot of philosophy behind it. There's a lot of influence. So you have to make the influence. You have to weave that narrative. So by having my player, who is a rocker boy, put on this great concert for everybody, I had him roll for it. So, you know, if he rolled poorly, it would have been a bad performance. He did 3 performance checks, and each one was better than the last. And it basically put on this amazing show for everybody. Now, I did introduce a new NPC here. I have a solo, and I kind of want, the thing is, we didn't have a fixer or a media. So I needed somebody that can inject rumors or be an information broker for the players. So I introduced an NPC called Dumbo, a weaselly, annoying information broker with an addiction to uppers, and will ask Hornet for some drug money. So this is, the typical street rat kind of guy that is weak when it comes to defending themselves, but has found strength in allies by being an information broker. But when you're an information broker, that means information is your commodity, and you don't care for loyalty. Whoever's got top dollar is going to get the info that they need, even if it's going to be at the detriment of another client. But the juicy thing is about the Continental Brands exec, the corporate Weiss, which becomes our big bad guy. So Dumbo offers some information on Weiss. Now, the problem with this NPC is, after today, the players just did not try to contact him. He was never anything important. They never tried to look for information with him. He was never a resource. He was just there for the moment. And you hope that these NPCs will catch. And it's kind of like, it's like a dating sim, Will my players fall in love with this NPC? If they don't, the NPC is gone forever. You'll never see them again. So after everything went down, Captain Sean Gregory wants to debrief the players. And this is my opportunity to offer the players an in on the major overarching plot of the campaign. And we can try it in earnest. We can get to the campaign in earnest. So one of the juicy parts of the information were that the Oasis probably has a mole. There's somebody in there or multiple people in there that are passing on information to corporations or any of the other outer factions that can possibly sabotage what the Oasis is doing. So Captain Sean Gregory tells the players, look, you're in deep now, you're an outsider, and instead of us having to deal with some kind of witch hunt that happens and infighting, I'm going to hire you guys, pay you guys to try to figure out who these moles are or how information is getting out to people on the inner workings of the Oasis. So that's the basic idea of it. The players say they're interested, they'll help if they can. Money is money. But what I didn't realize here is the players actually have a much more important role to play, and that is going after Weiss. This is where Weiss isn't just the main bad guy because I made him the main bad guy. This is because the players made him the main bad guy. They didn't care about the mole in the Oasis. The Oasis is just a place that they're passing through. They can deal with their own politics themselves. What they do care about is something more personal. Somebody in their group is from a nomad tribe that was wiped out by a corporation. And since they all hate corporations, they're like, this is perfect. I'm in, you're in, we're all in. Let's go after this Weiss guy, try to find out what information we can. So then I have some random notes here. Dallas Combat Zone, Pilot to Chaos HQ. I think I just wrote that. I think that's when I decided that that's where the Pilot to Chaos HQ would be. Agent information, Captain Dawson. I have no idea what that means. Sometimes you just write things in your notes. You have no idea what it means. It's just there, okay? But it seems like I might have ended our session right there after the debriefing. Maybe we did a lot of role playing. Maybe we had a short day that day and we couldn't get a lot done. So using the information, knowing that, hey, the players are really interested in this corporate and taking him down, I knew then exactly how I was going to tailor this campaign. So I broke it down in a little table over here to try to figure out what the beginning, middle, and end would be. And so the beginning is the players learn about Continental Brands and their desire to obtain the secrets of the Oasis. One of the Oasis's top botanists, Dr. Simon Faber, is missing. He went on a routine inspection to the outer crops and never returned. Players must investigate the area for clues. Drex, which is the rocker boy, is in our group, is introduced because he was good friends with Dr. Simon. So that's the rocker boy. He had the concert, and I wanted to connect him to the story as well. So I had somebody that is related to him or related to his backstory introduced into the plot. So not only are we going after the corporate that is messing with the Nomad in our group, we're also going to try to rescue a good friend of the rocker boy in our group. Now I've interlinked two players' stories together into the main plot. The players learn that Dr. Simon Faber, who is a top botanist, that means he knows about the crops, he knows how they grow crops in the Amber Oasis, he was kidnapped. And now the players are tasked with finding this doctor and bringing him back, hopefully rescuing him. Clues lead them to the Black Sand mercenary group because of how clean the job was done. The Black Sand HQ is in Waco, Texas. a ruthless combat zone. While in Waco, the party is jumped by Arasaka elites trying to extract Hornet. All right, so that's my idea on bringing our solo into the group. She has a background in Arasaka for a experimental solo program where they brainwash you and make you this crazy super soldier. She escaped from that with her sister. So Arasaka is trying to get their asset back, and they will in the middle of our story. Waco is a big town, but the fixers might be able to help if the players do them a favor. So I figured, you know, if they make good connections, they talk to the right people, they can probably navigate Waco. But Waco is a complete wasteland. Basically, it's a post-apocalyptic city, and it's a crazy combat zone. As soon as they get, you know, spoiler alert for later on in the campaign, when they do go to Waco, as soon as they show up, somebody hits them with a rocket launcher where the welcome to Waco sign is. That's, you know, to let them know. And also, oh yeah, I got this from a Clint Eastwood movie, but the Waco sign where it says welcome to Waco is crossed out, and instead it's written in red paint hell. So it says welcome to hell instead of welcome to Waco. That's from an old Clint Eastwood movie, but I thought it would be very apt for this kind of combat zone. So the players knew exactly where they were as soon as they got to Waco. They're like, oh, okay, this is the kind of place we're at, okay? The players locate the Black Sand HQ and leadership. They must extract information from them. Big epic battle, interrogation. Players find circumstantial evidence connecting Continental brands to the Black Sand, but nothing solid enough to crack down on them. They must obtain documents and proof of involvement with the Merc Group. The only place to find that is at Continental Brands HQ or office. So the idea is they'd have to go to Continental Brands, get to a computer, get to some kind of hard drive or something, get information about emails, and that's the best way to do it, which is crazy, crazy difficult to do. But that's why it would be a good end game thing to do. The players cripple Continental Brands' control in the area and transfer their power to someone else because the locals still need help from the corporation. So it's good to remember for myself and for the players that even though corporations are evil, they do a lot of good things. You know, their means are evil, but sometimes the results at the end of the day, that's why it's grimdark. That's why it sucks. At the end of the day, they are helping people by providing food, shelter, technology, whatever it is, distributing it throughout the world and the United States. The players, I wanted them to realize that their actions have consequences. Even if they take out a bad guy corporation, people are going to need something. Everything is ready for the campaign. Now I can just go little by little, and if this will evolve, this will change, and I can inject things as we go on the campaign. So I have Captain Sean Gregory talk to the players again, and you know, this is Cyberpunk, so the nightclubs, the bars, and all that, there's got to be a cool theme to them. So I figured it would be cool if there was a bar that was office themed. You walk into the office to meet Captain Sean Gregory, chief of the Oasis Security Forces. Blue lights sweep the area and cast shadows across the bar as the light touches the various office furniture. Cubicles, conference tables, and ergonomic chairs are here in place of stools and bar countertops. Yada, yada, yada. That's the idea. It's an office-themed bar. That's where the players go. So this is where I can introduce my players to the normal Cyberpunk things that they're used to. Because if you remember, we're not in a city. We're out in the boonies, and they were already went out into this like wasteland, open road. But my players, I feel like if they're playing a Cyberpunk game, there has to be Cyberpunk themed things happening. So going to a bar or a nightclub is a huge part of Cyberpunk. That's literally the tavern equivalent in Cyberpunk. So I had to make sure that my players can experience that in some way. So I put some bullet points here to basically give myself ideas as I'm going through the campaign. I have an idea of where the setting is in this scene. I have it set up where they're in a bar and they're there to talk to Captain Sean Gregory about the next mission that they're going to be going on. The captain introduces others. So if there's other people there, I think this is where a new player had joined. Dr. Simon Faber is missing as of 9 hours ago. So it happened really soon, really recently. The rocker boy is Faber's friend. That's Drex. That's what I make sure that I get that across to all the rest of the players. There's a medtech is there to assist the party and get paid just like them. Also in exchange, Captain promised to use Oasis resources to look for the Ripper Doc he's looking for. Okay, so the med tech that is introduced into the party is a new player, and in his backstory, he knows a Ripper Doc that is his father. So it's his like estranged father that ran away, and he's looking for him. I wanted to make sure that I let the players know that the captain likes the work they did for him and how they kept it all hush. He wants to know who kidnapped the doctor and why. This is a confidential mission and must be kept under wraps. If others ask, it's a rescue mission, and that's all. And that's really important to let the players know that because they were successful in their last mission, this NPC is a lot more trusting, understands how good they are at what they do, because he sent them on a crazy task. He said, go after this psycho booster gang and rescue one person. You know, that's not something that a lot of people can take care of in real life. A lot of things can go wrong, you know, but if you have professionals that this is what they do, or at least they're good at what they do and they're skilled, then you can trust them for some other more important stuff down the line. And that's exactly what I wanted to tell the players is, hey, you're trusted more and you're getting more responsibility and more pay. So the Western farmland is where the doctor went missing. That's the first place to look. That's just to give me an idea of where I'm going to be sending the players once they're done. If I feel like they've been at this bar too long, you know, the thing is keeping your players in the same place for an extended period of time really drags the session. You start seeing people take out their phones, they're yawning, they're eating the chips. You know, that's your sign that this place, we got to get out of here. Okay. It doesn't matter where we go or what's going to happen. Have someone burst through the door, have some people try to rob the bar, whatever. Something needs to happen right now because people are getting bored. So I gave myself an out. I gave myself an idea of where I could tell the players to go. I could have Captain Sean Gregory say like, okay, there's enough talking. We need to go and investigate where the doctor went missing. I wrote a note here of maybe some shopping real quick. So if maybe the players, after that last mission, they got some ideas, they got some IP, some money, they want to buy some stuff. There's shops all around the Oasis. The Oasis is a hub, so there's all kinds of trade going on there. But after that, we show up to the Western farmland. You arrive at the designated farmland where spotlight drones fly around with armed security forces that are scrutinizing the soil for any clues. The spotlight drones lets you know, hey, remember, we're still in Cyberpunk. That's all that's there for. They wade through the new corn stalks. Once again, you're in Cyberpunk. One of the officers halts your group. Whoa, this is a restricted area. Do you have authorization? And I always like to, whenever I want my players to interact with an NPC, I don't wait for them to interact with the NPC. I don't say, there's a man there that looks suspicious. I'll say a suspicious man walks up to you and says, hey, do you know where the bus station is? I make the players talk to NPCs. The NPCs are talking to the players, especially if I need them to. They'll just come and start talking to them. The players don't have to talk back to them, but they usually do. So sometimes if you want your players to interact with somebody, just have that somebody interact with them, whether they like it or not. So once again, here's some more bullet points. And generally, as we go on through this campaign, this is basically how I run things. I have narrative where you can read something, and then I have bullet points to remind myself of what I wanted to do in this area. Security has scoured the area, but they only see vehicle tracks leading in and out of the area. 2 dead escort officers. Once again, just quick information. Their optical cyberware has been removed, as well as any hard drives. No sign of the doctor. Blood is being tested. The drones will occasionally stop working, and security techs will frustratingly kick them back to life. Repairs will brighten their zone of view. Officers will ask if they can also repair their night vision thermal tech. Offers bonuses to search and more clues. Okay, so this is where I'm gamifying some narrative stuff, where basically it's kind of like an interaction hook. It's not a plot hook, it's like an interaction hook. As I said before, if I want them to interact with an NPC, sometimes I'll have the NPC just straight up talk to them. But in this case, I wanted to offer a reward to my players if they catch that I'm offering them something. So if the players with their tech skills, we did have a player that was a tech. If he decides, you know what, hey, let me help you guys, that will offer bonuses to the search and give them more clues. So the secret, this is this is like what's going on here. This is what the players are trying to uncover as they're looking at this scene. Looks like a group of professionals hit the area fast and hard. They snuck up on foot, used close combat weapons to kill the security forces stealthily. The doctor must have gone willingly and without a struggle. Doctor left behind his precious gold-banded ring with a ruby embedded in its center. If you know that the doctor went willingly then and without a struggle, then you know that they told him that they weren't going to hurt him and that he just needed to come with them, and he complied with them. But they did need to kill the security forces, obviously. So they want the doctor alive. That's what's important. They want him alive and well. So this next area is absolutely baffling me. I have no idea what happened. Sergeant Luttrell hops out of the AV that performed the strafing run, killing 2 Arasaka operatives. I don't know how we got to Arasaka operatives. I don't know exactly. Maybe they jumped. Oh, okay. So as they were, I guess as they were doing this investigation, some Arasaka operatives came in and attacked the players, and the players fought back. And since it was so close to the Oasis forces were able to respond really well. I don't know. I mean, I added all this stuff like Arasaka Fuji sniper rifle, AAR-18. I think these are all homemade homebrew weapons and stuff like that. And I did conceal reveal checks to find out what's in their pockets. So basically I had all these things in the pockets of these Arasaka agents that jumped my players, all these weapons and stuff like that. I don't think my players actually cared for any of it. They didn't conceal reveal. They didn't do any of that stuff. So anyway, every dead body cyberware is destroyed and left inoperable. A Cybertech 25 to repair. Cause electronic security, or Cybertech 18. So these are just different checks. They didn't figure out the streetwise thing, which sucks because I did all this and then they failed. So it's like, oh, I don't get to tell them that they're called the Emperor's Hand or Death is the Beginning or any of that. I just go, yeah, it looks Japanese. That's it. The hard work you put in, they're like, okay, I guess I just failed. And I'm like, oh, damn it. I wanted to tell you the cool things that I made. Anyway, this encounter will leave more questions, but evidence cannot really be linked to the kidnapping of Dr. Faber. So I wanted to make sure that these are separate incidents. The players know that. I think they understood. They knew what was going on. Hornet knew that this kind of thing will occur in her life. So it just finally happened. And it also let her know that how brazen Arasaka is. They're willing to come this close to the Oasis in order to get her. She was just outside of the city, out of the camp limits, just outside of it. And they said, you know what? We can't wait any second longer. Let's get her right here, right now. And they would have been successful if it wasn't for those darn edge runners. So my idea here is that information must be acquired from the players' contacts, fixers, and favors. Those are big things and information that they can try to find out on how to be able to rescue Dr. Faber. So the reason I wrote these notes here is my idea is that the players are going to be trying to look for contacts, fixers, and favors. They're going to be trying to obtain that information. And the more they go in that direction, the more I need to give them. So what ends up really happening is they just basically intimidate or persuade their way into places and just with brute force take the information that they need. They want to do things themselves. They want to get their hands dirty themselves. They want to go to places that they're not supposed to be and go talk to people that they're not supposed to talk to gather information with brute force. And basically that's what they do. They go places and they do things, whether I like it or not, and they become a nuisance. With brute force, with intimidation, with persuasion, with influence, they're getting into places and obtaining information to move this campaign along. I could boo-hoo and be upset and wish they didn't do that and wish there was this big tapestry of NPCs that know each other in a family tree and then they uncover secrets and all kinds of cool stuff like that. But that's not what my players wanted to do. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to go and say, hey, I can take care of things on my own. I don't need anybody's help. And with all of us together, us together is all we need. We don't need anybody else. And that proved to be a fun way to play the campaign. Once I adjusted and realized like they just want to go and kick doors down. I had to give them the doors to kick down. This is where we're going to stop. When we come back next time, we'll go on with the campaign. And where I had my players go is I realized once again, they've been in these outer reaches, they've been in the wasteland, they've been in the post-apocalyptic nomad world. Let's get them back into a city. Let's get them back to what Cyberpunk is all about, which is the big cities with the big lights and the advertisements and the neon glow. And that's why they headed to Dallas. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for joining. I really appreciate all the love and support from my patrons and everybody involved. We will see you guys on the next one. Bye.